the question that was posed about releases. There was law brought in March last year that would allow people to be released if they were in the last 12 months of their sentence, as long as they weren't charged with domestic violence offences or sex offences or some particular category. So in the last 12 months of their sentence, they could be then granted parole by the commissioner. It was actually COVID emergency legislation brought in particularly for this purpose, and it was passed with both ALP and Lib support. So that was actually there, and it's only a question of the commissioner actually doing it. But at the moment, unfortunately, the ALP has said that they don't really support the release of those prisoners, which I think is a real shame. Actually, it really is a shame. Now, the point that Adele makes is really obviously valid too. Anyone at the moment who's released from Parklea is required to spend 14 days in quarantine. Now, where are they going to quarantine? Why would you, after being locked in a cell, and we're here for days and many days, weeks actually now, without access to any family, how possibly could you walk out, come out of the prison, and then not see your family? Come on, that's just ridiculous. So the whole lot of services have to be put in place, and also people have to have access to services, and also how possibly can you have the whole population of Parklea Prison, which is 1,000 prisoners? How can you possibly have those people having to quarantine upon release? They're only there for a month and a half on average. So you've got all these hundreds and hundreds of people who are coming out, and you have an impossible situation where they cannot quarantine. They put their family at risk. And of course, you have thousands of other prisoners who could be released, who are not them, but who should have access to services. But I can make one more point. I think it's really important. You've got people like Adele, and she's a family member, and you can hear the emotion behind her. She's looking after her papa, and so now that's the strength really of the prisoner movement. And so when it comes to people like Adele, we can count on them, and Willie, of course. Willie, he's had the prison experience, and he comes in with the energy that says that we're going to look after our family, our people out there. That's the support that we can call on. And at any one time, you've got 13,000 prisoners in there. For every prisoner, you've got normally 3 people who are really closely connected to them. That's 50,000 people here in New South Wales. Now, that's an army, and that's an army of intensity, of anger, of preparedness to go to the streets if necessary and do things. They really want to do things. So people like Adele, they're the inspiration, and they're all out there. We just have to give them access to have a chance to step.